Hello, sir.
What's up, man?
Woo-wee. It's good to be here.
It's a crazy day.
It's a crazy day. Yeah, right here in the Midwest, we're getting belted with snow on 420. And, man, I hope if you partake in 420, I hope you're not out in this junk. This is horrible.
Whiteout conditions. I know there's some people where I could smell them driving.
Yeah, dude. It's pretty thick out there, man.
Wouldn't recommend it. Go home.
Yeah, right. For sure, man. For sure. But, nah, dude, it's a good day, man. I vowed not to go out today because of the weather, and I ended up going out and blah, blah, doing this and doing that. But here we are. Glad to be here. I had a crazy week, man. How about you?
Been calm.
Yeah.
No madness on my side. You know.
Yeah, that's
normal,
cool.
Everyday work stuff. Little things to do here and there, but yeah.
Right.
No madness. Just kind of calm.
That's good,
for the most
man.
part.
That's good. Yeah, mine's been peaceful. I mean, like, I've got good inner peace and, you know, I've been happy. Had a couple of rough days, real rough days. I thought that I'd made great strides in my dealings with trauma from the military, but I guess not, because I was talking with somebody on the phone who was also a trauma survivor from the same incident where I was at back in 1996, and floodgates just opened, and all of a sudden it was just those feelings were right there again, and the anxiety and just all the tumultuous energy, you know, was there again.
Yeah.
And that, for a couple of days, man, it was really hard to get my head back in the game. I was still meditating. I was still doing my walking. I was still doing the things that I need to do. And it wasn't like I got depressed. I wasn't in a depression. I was dealing with the emotions that got drudged up again.
Yeah.
And so anyway, long story short, it took me like 2 days to really like pull my shit together and you know, and help myself, if you will. But in doing that, I also, you know, made this realization that you know, it's no secret that I take a couple medications, and it stems from a hospitalization that stemmed from like a psychotic episode where I went sort of manic, and I wasn't sleeping, and, you know, ended up in the local VA system, thank God, and they took care of me and got me back running again. But as a result of that, I went on a couple medications. Well, I've never been quite right since then, and it's all side effect stuff. But it's debilitating at times. And right now, what I'm dealing with is chronic insomnia.
Oh.
And it's the kind of insomnia where when you do fall asleep, you wake right back up, and not only does it feel like you haven't slept, but you also feel like you don't need to. You know, mentally, you know, you're telling yourself, you're like, man, I need to go back to sleep.
Yeah.
But your body's like, all right, let's go. And I know from firsthand experience, obviously, that's not a good place for me to be.
I'll really take its toll.
Yeah. So I get a hold, you know, I talk to my therapist, I talk to my psychiatrist's office, and I'm telling everybody all this stuff. I'm like, hey, guys, I can't sleep, right? And I know it's not good, so I need some help. Yeah, I got nothing. They're just, you know, like taking notes and talking to each other. And now I'm like, okay, so I finally got an appointment with my doctor this upcoming Friday. So, you know, it's Tuesday today. And I'm just thinking to myself, I can't help but think to myself, if I was really bad off, I mean,
would they get you in sooner?
Or whose responsibility is that? Like, I love what my local VA has done for me. Like, I've really been rewarded heavily.
Yeah.
Or benefited heavily. But I can't help but think, man, if I'm a little deeper into this and not doing as well as I am, who's responsible there? Who gets held accountable when somebody goes and, you know, does commit suicide or attempts to commit suicide? And you go back and you look, and it's like, oh, man, he's been telling us for weeks now that he's having problems. It's disheartening. And I'm not jabbing. I'm not trying to poke the finger, but it's disheartening as a veteran or as just a human that is telling people, hey guys, over here, got a warning sign.
I don't think there's enough inner communication amongst the professionals.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is, man. It's frustrating though.
Well, think like if you go to your regular doctor and then you got to get referred to a specialist, and maybe you get referred again or you have to have surgery. Think how long it takes for them to get all your records over. Like you could even be at that appointment going, oh, we don't have everything yet. Your office will fax it or send it over. You don't even have all that. Like how long that takes, and very few people walk around, with, all their medical records on top of them,
much less, giving access to other people.
Yeah. So I think it's a hard world. It brings up many issues in that world due to the HIPAA laws. And even though if you're in that realm of doctor, you do have access to.
Well, the VA is a different entity in that all the specialties and primary offices, if you will, people that are in charge, all have access to the same systems. And they can all talk to each other with instant messaging applications, and also obviously with email and within the notes, within the charts, right? You can bounce back and forth on there. So they have it lucky. See, when I go to my therapist, he's like, oh, well, do you want me to go and talk to, your doctor? Like, that would be outstanding. That'd be great. Mm-hmm. It's a fantastic situation and not one that many people are privileged to.
Yeah, because it's be on the outside, civilian, get your doctor to talk to another or a doctor in another field.
Right.
Very hard because they're so pressed for time. Most doctors are overbooked, They do what they got to do with the resources they got.
Right. So it's a little different with the VA. They're fortunate that they can do that. So I'm not exactly sure if there's got to be a point where I stop and I look back at myself and what I'm doing and saying and go, are you being reasonable? Do you make sense?
Yeah.
Are you being rational? Right? All these things that maybe if I was getting angry about something, I wouldn't be. And I say, okay, no, I'm all of those things. I'm concerned about my well-being more so than I ever have been in my life. I would like it if you took as much interest in that as I did.
Yeah.
As a medical professional, and again,
maybe just on what they got from you, didn't think you were as pertinent on the list as someone else, like you said, who potentially is crossing that line of showing signs, symptoms.
Right.
Of, man, this individual, we can't play around. We need to get them in ASAP.
Yeah.
You know, no different than like you call your dentist. It's like, oh man, my tooth's really bugging me. Well, come on in, let's see it. And they talk to you and look at it. It's like, okay, we got to do this. Come back in a few days because maybe you're not as pertinent as somebody else they saw who came in for another tooth thing. And it's
who knows,
a weird
right?
world to say, but no, like the medical world is very goofy with this HIPAA stuff. No different than how that, crosses over into, purchasing firearms. That's a whole nother side to the topic too. But like big things like that I think there needs to be more interpersonal communication amongst the medical community, whether you are a mental health expert, cardiologist, general physician, whatever. There needs to be more mass communication because I think it would be difficult, but I think it would benefit society as a whole that so many things wouldn't go untreated, wouldn't take so long,
Yeah. For real, man. I don't know how you do that though. I don't know how you do anything in the medical world because it's with insurance how it is, driving prices up, and then
that's hard enough as
that
it
whole
is to
thing.
get them to, your doctor, if they're nice, they'll bill something differently so your insurance will cover it. If they, medical code it the wrong way, you're nope, not covered, pay out to ask for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we experienced that. We've got some insurance through the VA for me and the family, but it's nothing like for me, it's wonderful. Obviously it's everything's included, but for the family, it's, we still got co-pays and they're pretty decent sized and whatnot. So, I see the bills come in and it's just like crap, man. Like I remember in the corporate days or even when I was working for the government where this was, I didn't have to worry about this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's different.
No. And it's crazy to think that we have this medical insurance, this high dollar thing, no different than car insurance. It's the what ifs. It's not that you will truly need it. It's the what ifs. So you pay, hundreds of dollars, whatever, a year for your car. You pay thousands of dollars a year or a month or whatever for your medical. And it's all this what if of if I need this, when there are lots of people out there who may never even touch it for years and years and years. And it's like, man, past 5 years, I paid, five figures to insure my family, and I've never used it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's still the thing that you got to have, like, it's the what if, like, oh, well, what if we needed it? That's with anything,
That's that whole fear-based mentality.
And that's why they want you to have, well, let alone, the law was you had to have it, but,
right.
Car insurance you do, but.
Right. But it seems like, it seems like you could go down a rabbit hole with this, which is not where I want to go today.
No.
But I mean, really, like the whole insurance thing that's a lot of fear-based, speculative sales.
Well, that's mostly what it is.
It's like, hey, I mean, it's vaporware. It's
all insurances.
It is.
Medical is flat based across the country. That this is what this costs if you have to have this procedure. I bet there would be a good chunk of Americans that wouldn't have insurance because, like, all right, well, I know if I had this happen to me, this is what it cost.
Yeah.
There's a pre-price laid out sheet. Well, you can go to 2 different hospitals in the same town and the same thing won't even cost the same.
Right, yeah.
All depends what doctor wants to bill.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. It's disgusting.
It's like car shopping, man. 2 dealers in the same town, 2 different prices for the exact same models. Everything is to the T in the same vehicle. And
you'd think that if government was going to step in and regulate something, it might be healthcare.
Well, there's so much money to be made. That's why they don't.
Yeah, it's sad. Fucking make you angry.
It's a rabbit hole we could go down, and it would just.
You want to get real angry?
Unwind and unwind. There's so many things you can tie that to.
Yeah. So anyway, so I didn't really let that wear me down too bad. It's been on my mind, and it bothers me, and I'll bring it up whenever I meet with my doc again at the end of the week. But I say that because I'm curious how many people out there experience the same kind of thing where it's like, hey, listen, everybody says, like, when you think that you need help to ask, and then when you ask,
you don't get it.
You don't fucking get anything. Like, it's crickets. It's sort of, it's odd being that I'm an adult and I've got some pretty minor expectations for other professionals who are also adults, and they just,
that's this. We don't move fast in the medical community in America. I can think back to when I was trying to figure out if I had a hernia, and I was telling this to one of my trainers. He's having some symptoms, and I'm like, dude, I don't know. Everyone who's had hernias, I had ingroinal, they're different symptoms to how you feel.
Yeah.
I go, dude, mine went on for over a year before it just dropped me one day. I was like, oh, I felt like I was getting kicked in my nuts. Like, it finally took its toll, and I couldn't take it.
Yeah.
I told him, I was like, yeah, and I go, I had x-rays, which that's stupid. You can't see half the things in the human body with an x-ray machine. That's for bones primarily. I had MRI, nothing. It was finally after doing a CT scan and, a bunch of doctors. It took 4 sets of 2 doctors coming in. And I'm like, oh, my God, I got some rare cancer. I'm dying here.
Right.
But they all wanted to confirm before the surgeon, came back and goes, yeah, you got a hernia. We're going to operate, down, when we made the date. But it took months to finally get a definitive answer that it is what it is. And I know, like, other people, like, you hear people going in for, like, appendicitis, having the pains, and it's like, oh, no, he'll be fine. Well, if you just ran a few more tests, you might catch it before the damn thing bursts, because if it bursts, then you get a nice, lovely scar across your, your gut, right. Tubes in you to drain all of it, because all that bile is going to, deteriorate your insides.
Yeah.
And I remember when my grandpa was in the hospital, this was a long time ago, a gentleman, I believe he was originally from the States. He played in the European NBA. Dude was massive, like literally hanging off the bed. They had to remove the edge of the bed because dude was so tall. Yeah, the footboard. And his wife was from Europe, and he was back. I think he's somewhere from the Midwest region here. And he was talking about he had appendicitis. That's what they're doing. He goes, and we were talking about, man, I bet it's great over there, universal health care. And I really don't know much about this, so I'm only going off of what he told me, and this is way back when. He goes, oh, it's great, but it's nice, too, because if you have an insurance program, it's kind of like your VIP pass. It can get things a little bit faster. But he said over there, if something happens, if they think it's this, they continually run all the tests over the course of days, or if they can knock it out in a day's time, to definitively try and find an answer. He goes like, yeah, you think you tore something in like your knee. All right, we're going to go down the checklist, and they will refer you to these specialists pretty quick to get the ball rolling.
A little more systematic.
And he was baffled that he came into the hospital, saw a doctor, talking about pain. They sent him home, came back in pain, ran some tests, couldn't find anything, came back, and then luckily it was right on the verge of rupturing. I think they caught it, if I can remember. If not, but he's like, I never would have gone weeks with this nonsense of pain over there. It would have been probably solved in a week's time.
Right.
That, you know, like there's a lady at the gym, has to get a knee replacement. Back in February, she goes, yeah, my knee's getting so bad now, and she couldn't do some Pilates classes, and it's like, oh, that's so bad. She goes, yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to have to get my knee replaced. And I go, well, hopefully you'll find out soon what's going on. Yeah, I got my appointment scheduled with the specialist in May. This is back in February. So then she'll have her appointment next month, and then that'll determine, too, get some tests, probably be a few weeks. So let's say June. Then to get on the calendar, if she does need it for surgery, depending on what the surgeon has, maybe end of summer. So then maybe 2022 spring, you're back on your feet normal.
So then what is the argument against socialized medicine? It's, long wait times. But here we are.
I don't know if that's essentially true, that if we had this, you know.
Well, I know I've called in for appointments, and I've been told 3, 4, 5 months out.
I know.
What? Like it used to be 3, 4 weeks, and you're going, geez, that's a while.
I think things are even backed up more now due to what's going on.
Of course it is.
But even prior to this, nothing had changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's just something would need to change. And obviously, this isn't our realm of expertise, but
of course,
it's very strange to how long it takes you to get to the definitive answer medical wise.
Right.
And even the things like, you know, and this would cost a shit ton of money, and that's how the world works. But think like if you did yearly physicals, you really dove into the blood work further, ran everything you could. If you could catch cancers sooner or other things sooner, that then you could start the preventative care on that stuff. You know, it's most people, it's not until they start feeling odd that their doctors go, oh, well, you're fine. It's not until you feel bad that stuff gets started to start working in your favor to get an answer.
Right.
You know, I know plenty of people who can contest this. It's like, how many tests? Still no answer. Well, you know, it's probably this. Well, how about you, instead of probably saying that, do something to figure out if it is. Don't just say, it might be that.
Right.
And then you run tests and you get you're inconclusive. They don't provide you with what you need. How about you do the checklist to get to, let's rule out these. It could be this, 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 and this. Oh, check the box here. Check the box here. We don't do that.
Yeah. It would be very efficient.
It would be, but again, medical community, with what people forget, hospitals are first and foremost a business.
Yeah.
They are second to treating people. Yep. If they made no money, you'd have no hospital to go to. And that's everything in the world, but that's a sad thing, reality.
Yeah.
They first and foremost got to collect their money, get their dollars for whatever needs to be done, and they will treat you.
Yeah. It's not like they're really losing out on the people that can't pay, because they write all that off anyway.
It comes full circle somewhere. Yeah. One of us, someone with insurance, somewhere in that realm, or even a non-insurance person paying out of pocket, someone will pay it.
Yeah, we all pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just how it works, right?
No, it's a weird world.
Yeah. So speaking of medical stuff, so I'm going to go back. So you know, I've been complaining about no sleep.
Yep.
It's been a couple months now, and so a few weeks back, doctor's like, well, I'm going to send you some, and I was also having debilitating anxiety. So it was like I couldn't sleep, so I'd get anxiety attacks.
Well, it's common to go
anxiety attacks, then I can't sleep, and it's, you know, a vicious cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, I'm going to send you something for the sleep. I'm going to send you something for the anxiety. And she says, take them as needed, right? Great. Give me whatever I can take. So I take them both the first night, like half of it though, like just half. I sleep better than I have ever. The next night, I'm like, well, yeah, give me another. So I do it again, another half. About 3 nights go in, I still haven't taken a whole one. I'm like, well, let me see. I'm gonna go ahead and take a whole one, each of these, and you know, because I was feeling pretty shitty, and I thought, okay, let's see what happens here. And man, it put me on my ass, knocked me out all night. I felt really good the next day, and then it hit me what was going on. I was like, oh, fuck, I'm gonna be addicted to these 2 medications if I keep doing this.
Because it's providing you with what you need, but it's not an everlasting solution.
Totally. So I stopped, And then now I'm like, well, shit, how am I going to sleep? You know? And of course it sort of kicks back in, and it's the same kind of shit for a few nights. And so I'm like, okay, here I am, not wanting to be on medications anyway, but now I need to take 2 medications to help me sleep because of what I believe 2 medications are doing to me. Like, all right, this is going to be really difficult, but you just can't. You can't take it. You got to figure out a way to sleep. You got to figure out a way to not be waking up in the middle of the night, you know? And so anyway, the medication thing it's a showstopper for me. So, you know, what do I do? What do I say? I mean, I exercise routinely. Yeah. The diet's much better than it's ever been. Like I'm checking all the boxes, meditating, maybe sometimes twice a day, going for nice long walks. I'm doing everything I can, man. Like if you want to talk to me about preparation for sleep, I'm doing them. So now the only thing that I can think of is I've got to get off these 2 medications I'm on, and I need to see if my quality of life improves.
Yeah.
You know? And so what I'm saying here, you know, is I don't advocate anybody to stop medication that their doctors have prescribed to them, but I have to make my own path here. And, you know, to have one incident dictate who I am for the rest of my life and dictate that I have to take medication for the rest of my life, I think is a little short-sighted.
Well, yeah, and you're doing the right steps of trying to contact them and figure out if maybe you're doing half, maybe you go 75, then you go, 75 of a half. Well, and going to a quarter, then
it's funny you mentioned that because we've had to wean off of medications before that just weren't working right.
Yeah.
And, you know, at first they were like, well, we'll just chop it in half. I'm like, well, 50% is a lot for one of these medications.
Depending on the milligram, yeah.
And so I'm thinking, this is a percentage game. Can we cut off 10% at a time, maybe 15%? Can we not go 50, 60% up front? So what I'm saying now is, again, very small chunks to be taken off over the course of months.
Yeah.
Not weeks or days.
I know someone that was on something and it was making them feel horrible, you know, just like it was supposed to be helping, but it really wouldn't do anything. It has adverse effects. And then they called their doctor, and their doctor's like, yeah, then just stop taking it.
Oh.
Then lo and behold, doing more research, weaning off this particular medication shows how much, like, just the effects, you know, would have on the body.
Yeah.
You know, all these side effects. And the biggest thing is, like, it could potentially kill you.
Yeah.
Pulling it out of your system too fast. And the doctor just said, yeah, just stop taking it. Not knowing. And then, like, this individual talking with other specialists and doctors going, oh, my God, you should. Well, one, you were prescribed the wrong medication. You should never have been on that. That is not for someone like you.
Right.
2, they should have weaned you down like 10%, blah, 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 like you're saying, at a time. And that's another thing is, like, there's got to be more communication. I know that's how the drug world kind of works.
Yeah.
I'm the rep. Push this one out if it does something similar. Well, if it's not the best thing for you, ethically, I should not be prescribing it to you if it's really not going to help a majority of what you need, let alone if you don't demographically fall into what it is.
Yeah.
It was something that was designed for older individuals, like 60 plus. They're like, yeah, this drug does not get dished out to people in their, 30s, 40s. This is not a young person's thing.
Right.
That might be a rare case. But that's the thing is, like, if you do take something, look up the research and then speak with your doctor to, hey, I understand there would be side effects if I completely pulled. What's a safe way for me to get off this, and speak with the health professional and dumb down the doses by 10, whatever percent, that they feel is safe. But yeah, there's not many medications that you routinely take that you can't, I'm done with it.
Yeah.
It's,
something's awry when mentally you're doing better than you've been in years, but physically you feel worse.
Yeah.
Like mentally, because the work you're putting in, you feel better about yourself, more confident, more disciplined, all the things that you need to be, but you're still not, you can't get your body physically where you need it to be because you've got little blockades. You've got things going on that you just can't control anymore. And I don't like that. I think I want to get down to level ground zero there and Okay, let's start this back up. And if things start to go awry, then I've got, my wife and my family right there with me that are all aware of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, okay, something's going on. Okay, cool. Well, guess what? I guess I do need something, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to that. But I'm opposed to living the rest of my life on shit that's making me feel shitty just because that's what somebody read in a book that is all based off of some really outdated shit.
Or one specific company's literature.
Right.
Because obviously, again, that's how the drug world works.
Well, and especially with...
ours does this and does not have this side effect versus B's does this. There are how many, medications out there that pretty much align. It's just changing a few things. No different than soda companies.
Antipsychotics and antidepressants are so evil, man. They're so evil because the moment you stop,
that's when your body flips.
That's when the switch goes and these poor bastards go and jump off bridges and shit, man. It's horrible what they do to you. And so if you can't get off of the medication, but it makes you crazy being on it, and you're twice as crazy trying to come off of it. Mm-hmm. Man, I just don't know where people go. I don't know how you do this in a responsible manner with medical professionals that genuinely want to see you off of the medication, not on even more.
Yeah.
And until you get that what do they call that? Or the two things shouldn't be, where you get that the at least perception of possible mistrust.
Yeah.
Because somebody's pockets are being lined with what, maybe a cruise or maybe,
whatever.
A nice wine basket or whatever it might be. Hey, somebody's bringing you some Panera, some Breadco for lunch every day. You know what? I really do like Frankie. And you know what? The patients seem to like the medicine, so let's just keep doling that out. Come on, man, we're all different here, man.
I think there's good and bad docs. No different than any profession. There's good and bad, but
yeah,
and I can't speak upon what you experienced, but yeah, I've seen firsthand from people that take things that were prescribed, supposed to help, and then they get taken off of it, and it's just like, what the hell? And a lot of these drugs can start really screwing hormonally with individuals. Well, that's no different than you start messing with hormones, you're kind of rewriting the DNA to each individual, and then you're really, screwing things up, and that's...
Now you're messing with your thyroid and all that stuff, man.
That could have consequences for years to come. It may not be any repercussions now, but that doesn't mean, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, it finally comes back to haunt you,
Yeah.
No, I wish there was a simpler thing, too, for you and those who suffer from, certain ailments that you could find medications that could do it. But,
well, it's also like, I'll give you another example of things that make me say, what the, about the VA, because I love them. Mm-hmm. But just like my wife, who I love, there are days and moments where I'm like, I want to strangle you,
Yeah.
And so this is where I'm at with the VA. It's the ebbs and the flows, I guess. But, I've been on this journey with meditation and trying to figure out how to get off of medication for a few years now, right? And one day I say to my psych doctor, who deals with patients who have been fatigued mentally somehow. They've burnt out, like, whatever you want to call it. They've popped. So I say to my doc one day, hey, wouldn't it be great if the VA had a program where they really went in and did some deep dives with veterans and meditation and maybe breathing work, maybe yoga, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, oh, they do. And I go, I'm floored. Jeff, I'm fucking floored. I'm like,
because they didn't recommend it.
Why wouldn't you tell me about this? Like, why do I, the guy that's, according to you, got to take medications to be level, am the one coming up with ideas of how to get better? And the most common denominator shit, breath work, meditation, yoga, exercise, diet.
I think that is
Nothing?
where the world is going to shift. Like when Kyle was here and talked about it, Nate, like Wim talks about, I think that'll be the next shift in the medical community is people need to realize that half the things we suffer from, we can have some control over.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you physically take care of yourself, you exercise, you eat good, nutritious foods, you take care of your mental health with meditation, breathing practices, whatever, that a lot of the things that we suffer from, we can take care of and eliminate, but we don't.
Yeah.
You know, looking through this whole madness of this past year, well, certain people who had other ailments played a particular role in those who suffered more from getting COVID than not. But I think that's the way with the future of the medical community is not how many prescriptions can we write. Well, trying this alternative medicine, you know, more holistic. And this is no different than what Eastern culture has done for thousands of years before Christ existed, that going to the natural abilities of, you know, what Mother Nature provided, plants, teas, you know, spiritual training, you know, mental training, like all this stuff has been going on thousands of years. It just kind of got pushed aside as Eastern cultures decided to, you know, follow Western culture.
Right.
And then now we're getting more in depth with the Eastern, which has tried to been pushed, you know, forgotten. I think that'll be the big shift in the next, you know, 10, 20 years. It'll be not so much of what can we write you, but here's your prescription. You're going to go to a specialist in meditation, yoga, a therapist, you know, Reiki specialist, an energy. Like you're going to go to someone like that. You'll do that for X amount of times. And then maybe if that really doesn't work, maybe another style, but then maybe a medication potentially will
Sure.
be.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's take some steps, right?
But we're too quick. I don't know, especially probably through this pandemic. So many people like, I have anxiety. Oh, here's a pill.
Yeah.
Versus, have you tried when this happens to focus your breathing, focus on something positive, take a step back? Have you done this?
Yeah.
Like no one has, you know, I can't say no one, but I don't think many people are willing to put in that kind of work versus just call the doc and get medicine. I think we're still a society that's, hey, I have this, give me a drug for it. Versus,
but that's on a physical level, but on a mental level, most people won't admit, hey, I have this.
No, and that's the first battle that needs to be overcome.
So it's like, what, you know, I'll take it back to myself and I'll share this little story. I was really in the middle of the thralls of a mental breakdown. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there with I think it was my mother and my stepmom, my dad, and on the back porch of my house, and I had my head in my hands, and I'm just so angry, and I can't understand why people don't understand me. You know, I felt like I was at the height of not being heard, and there's all this chaos, not only in my head, but apparently coming out of my mouth. I'm just talking 100 miles an hour, and I'm not making sense, and all these things, and everything stops, and I have this moment of clarity, and I'm realizing that everything that I'm saying is just as easily about me as it is anybody else. Mm-hmm. And I say, now I will never claim to say anything profound in my life, but in my own world, I will say that the most profound thing I've ever said was in that moment. And I said to myself out loud, holy shit, I've done all of this to myself. I've allowed my mind to wander and to not be disciplined. I've allowed thoughts to become anger that became reality that was just a thought. Mm-hmm. You know, and I allowed an undisciplined mind to become a even more chaotic mind. And there's all of these things that now I look back and I see it, and it was so systematic. Mm-hmm. And it was a process from when I was a child, and then in the military. And oh my God, in the military, it played so much more of a role in my mental instability than I'd ever thought. Mm-hmm. I didn't give it that credit that it really deserved. Yeah. Which was really taking a hold of me and taking any mental illness that I already had just simmering beneath the surface.
Yeah.
And it just brought it to the top in this magnificent fashion to where my anger could be glorified. You know, and my rage could be honored.
Yeah.
And like all of these things were perfect. It was the perfect storm. It wasn't a perfect good. It wasn't,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's wild to think back about it in that manner instead of just, man, life sucks.
Yeah.
I'm depressed. No, dude, it's been a fucking ride. It's been a long, long, hard ride. And I'll be damned if I wouldn't do it all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Because to be able to sit here right now and to be able to say that not only do I understand what I went through, and to also say I'm happy to have gone through it.
Well, it's built you up to be who you are.
Yeah.
No different than, you know, we say those ups and downs of the mountains, of the path of life, being lost, that creates who you are.
Right.
Your personality, your strength, you know, your mental fortitude, physical, everything is shaped by what goes on in life. And as much as we could all say, like, you know, if you could rewind time, would you, you know, eliminate that? But then you may not be the same person that you are today if you remove those key pieces in the path.
Totally. You know, I see myself still chasing, you know, the dollar. I still see myself chasing the fancy cars. I still see myself chasing the bigger house. I see myself chasing whatever it was that I was chasing to find happiness. I see it all now. I see it all for what it was worth and what it did and what it didn't do. And I guess you would call those lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice to be able to look back and say, shit, man, I learned a lot of lessons, you know, and I didn't learn them all the first time.
Yeah.
Fuck, not by a long shot. I love to do things wrong a few times.
Mm-hmm.
It's just in me. And so, you know, I'm really, really thankful to be here and to be able to sit here on this show and with you and talk about it, because there've been moments over the last few years where I didn't know if I was going to be able to sit down and have a conversation with anybody again, Jeff.
I'm sure.
Honestly, you know, I mean, I would shake and just, you know, all day uncontrollably.
Well, it brings the anxiety out of that you have to open the doors that you don't want to.
Yeah, man.
You know, and that's with anybody talking about things that we hold dear inside, or things, you know, talking about your weaknesses versus your strengths is a hard thing to do. You know, we're all here. It wouldn't take nothing to have a conversation with somebody to boast about our strengths.
Totally.
But it takes a real conversation for people to talk about their weaknesses.
Right.
And I think too many people sit and do that.
Yeah.
Oh, this, and this. Well, how did you get to that? Because you didn't just magically form these things. There had to be some bumps, some shitty days, some hard times that, like, as you had your epiphany when you're like, man, I've done this to myself.
Yeah.
There has to be something to get you there. You just don't manifest, oh, hey, yeah.
No. If it was that easy, you could walk into a room and tell everybody, hey, guys, if you do X, Y, then Z will come upon you. And that's not how it works.
No.
Because you could tell somebody this feeling you have inside of you that makes you just know you're alive and you just want to do good things is not conveyable via words.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not. That feeling is something that when you want nothing but good for people, genuinely, that feeling is something that cannot be conveyed with words. I can't explain it. When chills come over you for no reason other than good, it begets more good and more good and more good. You can't help it, you know, and it becomes habitual, just like all the bad habits that we formed.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's chewing your nails or beating your wife, whatever it is, you know, and that's, completely, you know, just two little tiny things on the whole spectrum there. Or could it be, you know, dealing with and becoming better about, you know, the way that you react and respond to people? That's one little tiny thing, but it's one little tiny thing that when you do realize you've been doing something incorrectly or poorly, that you do something about it.
Yeah.
Right? It's okay to fuck up. It's okay to, man, I know so many people that were assholes when we were kids, and now they're the best damn people I've ever met.
That's how you learn.
Dude, you got to, go back to that well. People change, right?
You have to fall in life. There's no just walking a smooth path.
Right.
That's just not going to happen.
But when you find that you've got it in you to stand up and to try it again, even though you know it's a bullshit rigged game, it's like you're at the damn carnival some days.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, geez, why can't I figure this out? But getting back up and doing it again is figuring it out.
Oh.
And I think we lose sight of that.
It's harder to get back up once you've been knocked down several times from something similar, if not different, than it is just to, okay, turn around and go the other way.
Yeah.
It's what shows true courage and shows your true strength, which then builds those strengths versus what are your weaknesses or your faults in life.
Yeah. Well, it's like we've said before, you come up to an ambush of sorts and you have to go through it.
Yeah.
You come up to something that you want to avoid, and where does the power lie? The power lies in that thing that you want to avoid. So you have to go through it. You have to confront it. If you don't confront it, you never get that power. You never take the power from it. You never take it from the anxiety or from the fear or from the anger or the rage. In fact, you keep stoking the fuel.
Yes.
So it's up to you, I guess.
Always.
Yeah, man, it is. Like I said, I did it to myself. I said, God damn it.
Yeah, if you don't feel you have control in life, that's when you reach out to help to others, professionals. They get you back on that right path, and then it's up to you, legitimately, maybe the assist of those individuals, family, friends, to continue to walk that path towards the betterment of you, whatever it may be. You know, but
and it's easy. It's so easy for me, and I'm sure I'm speaking for the masses when I say it's easy for us to get agitated or to become angry. It's so much harder for us to become unagitated or unangry. But we all have it in us. Oh, it's the same thing that gets you there brings you back.
Yeah, whether it's certain things have just built up in the day and you just go. Hormonally, maybe it's one of those days you're just like revved.
Right.
You just don't, and those are things we don't know. We're not drawing blood to look at ourselves, but it's those things. Life is a team effort. As much as you can say, "Oh, my life, none of us got to where we are at whatever age we are without the team effort of everyone we've encountered from the moment we opened our eyes."
Yeah.
From that first, the doctor,
it's all
mom, dad who got you there, the doctor that pulled you out of the womb. It's a team effort that gets you through your life. If you refer to it as, "Oh man, it's I all the time," you're just lying to yourself. Everyone's life, the collective good of humanity, is a team effort because no one would be anywhere in the world without the other people about it.
Yeah. And just think about how connected you really are to other people.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go back and if you just think about the possibility of what your birth did to a nurse that was on duty, maybe it was her first one and she saw you and
spiderweb country
and all of a sudden she went and she did something wonderful for someone else. And then because of that, they changed the way that they viewed education and they went to school and they became a doctor. And that person, it's the butterfly effect, right? But it's real. And if that doesn't give you chills to think about how connected everything is and how when you held that door open for that older couple today at the grocery store, it was just because that's what you do to you. But to them, it was a restoration of humanity.
Yeah.
It was taking them back to a day when people did that no matter what. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's really, it's crazy.
So like it's just a little thought like for homework, like Jeremy's saying, think about all the people you could have possibly encountered from your birth to now. Think of how big of a branch or a tree, or if you drew a circle and the rays were those people, how many thousands upon thousands of rays you would have of the people that have had something, even in one minor interaction, like you said, a stranger that held the door for you, or that waved you on at the traffic stop. You know, those little things, you'd sit there and just would be bewildered and lost and baffled, but that makes the impact of who you are right now.
Yeah.
All those countless interactions.
Yeah.
Just a little food for thought.
And I think, you know, maybe we were talking about it. Somebody somewhere was talking about how we're all connected by these tubes, so to speak, these energy tubes, if you will, that when you're communicating, there's this dialogue that's open, and it's a tube of sorts of energy. Excuse me. Think about like all the times that you left this scenario worse than it was before you got there, and how many people that could have affected.
Oh, it's true.
It's really, it's like duh kind of shit. It's very baseline, but I think it needs to be at the forefront again. I think we need to remember that everything we do and say, whether it's me talking to my doctor on the phone or me, you know, talking to somebody at the barbershop.
I can think of things this past few days, like, you know, shouldn't have said that.
Exactly, man. Like, dude, my son had some buddies over for his birthday, and out in our garage, we've got an area where we can sit, and then we can like work on skateboards or bikes, and we can do, it's like a lounge area, and we've got the bikes hanging up above it, so if you need a bike, you can just grab it. Well, his was hanging in a spot where he couldn't reach it, right? I got some stuff there, so he couldn't get to it. So I had just settled down. Like, I mean, I had a long day, and I was just settling down, and I was going to read. And as soon as I crack it open, comes flying back in the house, Dad, I need you to get my bike. And it triggered me for some reason. I was like, ugh. And it's not that I said anything to him. It was my energy. It was the way I carried myself. It was, dude, that fucking ate at me. And that night when I woke up, that's what I thought about. That next day, while they were all still here, all his buddies, I got them together and I said, hey, last night I was really grumpy when you guys asked me to get his bike down. I said, I'm sorry. And I told him why. And I told him, you know, you're always welcome here, and I will always get the bike down for you.
Yeah.
Timing was off. My bad.
It's kind of one of those things. Like, I'm the same way, like, when I'm doing meditations or breathing. So I've been doing Wim's things, and his updated version of the app, he's got challenges.
Yeah.
So you have things now you have to do throughout the entire day. So versus just doing the breathing. So I got to do breathing technique. I have to do X amount of time for a cold shower, which is nothing. Then I have exercises and stuff I have to do on top of it.
Right.
So reverse balances, push-up stuff, plank, stretching, all sorts of different things. So you got to do different things in the day. And it doesn't unlock it until you complete it. Makes sense?
Yeah.
And I was doing a meditation yesterday, and I'm like, I got time to knock this out before my wife and my daughter get home. I'm going to do this. And I'm sitting there, or was it Sunday? It was Sunday. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this. And it was like, I'm minute it, and I'm like, that sounds like them. No, it's probably the neighbor's door. And then they come in, and I'm like, doing my breath hold. I'm like, I'm going to continue to hold my breath and do that. And then eventually it's just like, I had to talk because they asked me something, and I was just like, okay, stop. You know, it's not, I didn't get the time, but I still was doing what I needed. But in that instant in my head, I was like, but it's just like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because you did the breathing in the morning as you're supposed to. You got the evening one done. And then I just redid it later. It's just like, I can always redo it. It doesn't matter.
Right.
You know, it's just like that. And then like the other day I forgot to do one of the exercises to the one, because it's a buildup. You start with one and it goes, and it'll give you a score, like, you know, grades. It's like, I forgot to do one thing. I was exhausted the other day, and I'm like, it didn't even, I go before bed, I got to do this. And it's just like, no, priority took precedence.
Yeah.
And that's where, you know, you could be internally angry at yourself for doing something, or it's just like, normally in the past, I'm like, oh man, I can't believe I forgot to do that.
Right.
There's a precedence of things like, if you know your body needs to sleep, as you probably have in these past couple of days and weeks, and you just get into bed and you're like, man, and there's other stuff you need to do right there, that sleep is precedence over other things.
Yeah.
Other things are minor at that point.
Yeah.
To checking a box.
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just think that's where, like, you know, you understand it for the health aspect, that these other things can take a back seat. That's where you need to go. And I think another thing more people need to focus on is quit being so worried of checking a box of a list and taking the priority of your health, mental health, physical health, that if I need to get sleep or this needs to be done, but I really need to eat because I'm not going to eat now for another 6, 7, 8 hours. Well, which is going to be more pertinent? This project that can hold off for a quick, 5, 10 minutes so you can eat, or you being a miserable asshole because you didn't eat all day.
Right. Yeah.
That's where I think more people need to be conscious of what truly stands important. To check this box for doing something, or no, this took precedence because it is this. It's not a little box
that's
thing I'm following.
I think you've got to learn how to be, and I say learn because it's a process of learning. And for most people, at least at my age, say 44, 45 years old, you're already sort of in your way, right?
Yeah.
But if you could learn how to be more fluid,
yeah.
And by fluid, I mean, we record at X amount or X time. Jeff's here a little before, a little after. Okay, cool. That's being fluid, right?
Yeah.
Being like how I've been in the past on certain days where it's like, it's time, or whatever it is. That's not being fluid. One helps absolutely nobody. One helps everybody. So it's like either learn how to be fluid or expect more rigidity in your life. Expect more pushback, more resistance. And that's on you. And that's like when I fell down and I said, oh, shit, I did all this to myself. That's what I mean.
Perfectly the analogy of the bamboo. Like reading this book I'm reading, kind of like the Bushido way. It's written by a modern-day martial artist who's trained with some famous people, but he relates a lot of ancients, previous Chinese, Japanese martial artists. But talking about the bamboo, how rigid it is. And there's an old Zen story of a dying, I believe, mother, and her son wanted to get her the utensils because they used bamboo back in the day for a lot of stuff, for tea ceremonies, for the ladle that got the tea out. He wanted to give her the best, and he needed shoots. Well, it's winter, so he sent everyone out. No one could find anything. And then, lo and behold, the gods thought how honorable that is as he's trying to do this for his mother. And the gods bestowed, boom, these bamboos started growing in winter. And there are bamboos that grow in China and Japan during winter.
Right.
And so it goes as like the heavy snowfall comes, they'll bend, and then eventually that snow gets to a point, and the bamboo just snaps back up, flicks all the snow up, and it's back to normal.
Right.
But it's fluid. It can flow, and it's hollow. And they say that's one of the most honorable and respectable things in martial arts and like the Asian cultures, like the bamboo, because it's so versatile. It can flow in the wind, yet it's so strong. It's very hard to break. And they went and talking about one clan's symbol was a tiger breaking through a piece of bamboo on their swords. It's showing like, because that was like, oh, badassery, back in the day, like intimidation. But because of how resilient and strong the bamboo is, you kind of got to be that way in life. At times, you are going to bend till right when you think you're going to break, and then the tension releases, and you're going to fling back up, and you'll be kind of tall.
Yeah.
And then other days, you're going to weigh, and then other days, you're just going to blow. It's kind of what you got to do.
I think the best part about this whole journey is the times where you catch yourself doing shit right, and you actually stop and you tell yourself, good job, man. Like, you did it. Like, that's the shit you're supposed to be doing.
The rewarding part.
And just having that conversation with myself every once in a while it's a great reaffirmation and a reminder of sorts, like, hey, just try to be decent to people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be people we all run into that chap our asses, and that ain't going to be any different today or 100 years from now. But what could be different is how you allow that to change and affect your day.
Yeah.
Right. Or change and affect your family's day because the way it changed yours. It goes back to what Jeff and I were saying earlier about that butterfly effect. It's just, it's remarkable when you sit down and really put some thought into your potential circle.
Yeah.
Even from a day where maybe you think you didn't do a whole lot. Well, how many people did you talk to? How many people do you have an interaction with?
If
you know what I mean?
Counted that, it would drive you insane, but you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Probably just on the way to work, if you have to drive to work, you slowing down, letting somebody in, you not cutting off. Those are interactions. You just don't take them that way. You'd probably have 10 plus before you even get to the office.
Yeah, and there's no need to go out of your way to be silly about it. Nobody's trying to make a 30-minute commute, a 2-hour commute.
Mm-hmm.
But when presented with an opportunity,
Yeah,
take part.
You're respectful to that one. It just
yeah, man. Yeah, and if anything else, if the only thing that you get is at the end of that day, you go, hey, I did pretty good today.
mm-hmm.
It's going to be worth it.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Like that to tell yourself an honest goodness, like 5-star review for the day or for the moment or for whatever the conversation. Do it.
Mm-hmm.
Tell yourself, damn, you did good. Because you know how many times have you been down on your knees going, what the hell am I doing?
Yep.
So, I mean, we're talking the percentages are a little skewed.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we can set out to flip that a little bit.
At least try.
I hope so, man.
Even a % in the one direction, that's still a win.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I think so too. So, man, I sure appreciate you letting me get on here and talk about all this.
That's what it's here for, man. I love it.
Yeah, it's it gets to a point where like you start questioning things, and like, I don't think I'm going crazy. I think you really should be interested in this.
Oh yeah,
like things like that, and it just starts to like, man, like I don't want to go down the path of just like trying to internalize everything and trying to make logical sense out of things that will never make logical sense.
Yeah,
they don't have the connectors. There's not enough of them. Right? There's too many variables. Too many players.
Yep.
So I have to learn to be okay with
certain doors won't open.
Just leaving some shit undone. You know?
That's true.
So
That's true. Very true.
It's not easy. Not easy.
No, it's not.
And yeah. But hey, on a lighter note, before we wrap this up, did you happen to watch any of that Jake Paul fight?
I just saw the highlights.
Well, yeah, so did I. Well, yeah, I saw there may or may not have been somebody streaming on YouTube.
Oh, I'm sure there were. I can. By the time that was going on, he probably actually stepped out because I was still up. He had not even made his way out yet, so I was probably asleep by the time he actually stepped into the ring and fought.
It was an interesting matchup to begin with. I mean, I just don't understand this thing where you take an MMA fighter and tell him to go box. I mean, you don't take a boxer and tell him to go fight an MMA fight.
I think if you're going to do that, you need to have rounds where one is boxing, one is kickboxing,
sure,
one is wrestling, takedown submissions, and then you score it.
Right. That would be really cool.
But then it would take the fun aspect out of knockouts because in all reality, you're going to one of them's going to unload on their specialty round.
Sure. Yeah.
It was interesting, but the highlights, I'll give credit to Jake Paul. He works his ass off. You can see what he's doing.
Yeah, it's funny because I hear people, I've heard numerous people, and I may have been guilty of saying this in the past too, that, he's not a boxer.
He's getting some credit from these guys.
If he keeps boxing and winning, that makes him a boxer. Mm-hmm. He may not be your favorite boxer, may not be somebody you even like or respect.
Yeah.
But he's boxing and he's winning.
Yep.
And
someone will come along that's going to take him.
Well, sure, but you can't deny the kid's speed and athletic ability.
He's putting in the work.
Yeah.
And that's what it takes to get him where he's at. And it does help that your brother was YouTube famous, but
yeah,
here nor there. He's putting in the work.
But dude, the way he set Askren up to knock him out.
Oh yeah.
It was a total setup. It was a total setup. But that's what boxers do.
I'm not lying. Ben at a catch weight of 190 they fought at.
Yeah.
Ben looked like what did Ben fight at? 170, 155, I think. So sure. Jake's probably standing at 200 something.
Yeah.
On an average time. There was a big difference in size, but regardless, you understand when you sign the dotted line what you're getting into.
Yeah. I applaud both of them. I think that's insane to get in front of that many people and just
anybody to
the
step
chips in the
into
wind.
The combative arts, cage, ring, whatever, you got balls.
Yeah.
And those who want to comment and all that, 99% of the world has never done that. You have no opinion whatsoever.
That's right.
If you've never stepped in that.
That's
if you've never been in war, you can't speak of war.
Yep.
That's one of those things. Like, most people like, oh man, I'll do it. Then go to a local boxing or MMA and just spar one day. Even just play sparring. It'll get your adrenaline going, and most people have it like, oh shit, and probably piss their pants moment when you get rocked.
Yeah.
As Tyson said, everyone's got a good game plan until you get punched in the face.
That's right, man. His eyes swell up.
Oh, it's just you get hit and you're like,
it. Yeah, man.
Deer in headlights. Oh, shit.
That's right. Why can't I see anything?
Yeah.
I know, man. Yeah, but to listen to Askren afterwards, you know, they asked him, I think somebody said something about regret. He's like, regret? He's like, you kidding me? He goes, I'm going to open up a gym and teach kids wrestling. Because, you know, he got like $1 million or whatever.
Well, too, but he's a former
he's an Olympian.
Collegiate wrestler, too, from, is he from locally? I couldn't remember what they said. I'm trying to remember. But he was a collegiate wrestler.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah.
Who cares? He's getting paid. He's going to use the money for good, let alone, if not, it supported his family.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely, man.
Win or lose as an athlete, you get paid. If you're in a sport that pays you, it's supporting. That's your job. You're getting paid.
Yeah. I still don't understand the whole, like, bringing a horse in to fight a duck. Like, I just don't understand the mixing of disciplines. But
That's no different than the beginning of the UFC, taking all these guys of different standards to figure out who's the best. But when you're
right, but that's UFC.
But yeah, that opens it up.
Yeah,
that's no different than when McGregor fought
Mayweather. Yeah,
dude hung with him.
Yeah,
and that's not his thing. So I think it's just a test for someone outside. I'd do it.
Right.
I'm not, boxing is not my forte. You take my feet away, but I'll go play.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, if you're going to give somebody that much money.
Because the nice thing is, okay, one, I'm not going to get kicked. I'm not going to get kneed. I'm not going to get elbowed. There's no ground and pound, and there's no submissions. I just got to worry about watching hands fly.
That's right.
It's still vicious, but
yeah,
I'd do it.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, for real, man.
It's fun. It's fun to get hit in the head. The craziest.
Yeah, it wakes you up.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Light switch.
Yeah, nothing like a fight to make you wake up.
Very true.
Yeah. I'm sure it's no different in the ring.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. Cool. All right, man. Well, thanks for letting me vent today.
Always.
I hope you all had a good day, and thank you for joining us.
Always, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Cool. Hope to see you next time. Until then, go do something good for somebody and be good, y'all.
Absolutely.
Peace.